Hello and a happy or gloomy Tuesday from the Trib Live Radio studios. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. This, not coincidentally, is the Dejan Kovacevic Show on Trib Live Radio, brought to you by Sports Yapper, the app that's kind of like Twitter but is only about sports. Tonight at PNC Park, the Pirates will be taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. I hear that on StubHub, and actually we've confirmed here, that you can get a ticket for the upper grandstand for 20 cents. That's not an exaggeration. The guy underneath that offer is selling 2 tickets for 32 cents. So take your pick. If you're in the upper grandstand, the good part is at least you'll stay dry. The bigger game in town, as far as the Pirates are concerned, is the blame game. I'm sure you've read about the blame game over the weekend. That's the one that Frank Coonley said in the Trib he doesn't want to play. That's the one that Neil Huntington said he doesn't want to play. We're going to play it here today because the Pirates have had what can only be considered to be a second consecutive historic, epic collapse. And that doesn't happen because some bland, generic, unnamed collective entity fails. It happens because people fail, because individuals fail. You can look at it from the clubhouse level. You can say, Andrew McCutchen has taken a step back. Why? Is he overused? He's not a big guy. Should he have his playing time taken down to, let's say, 155 games instead of the 160, 161, 162 they try to push on him? James McDonald has pretty much fallen apart in the second half. Why? Skinny guy, throws too many pitches. When James McDonald is going well, he strikes a lot of people out, but that runs up your pitch count. There's guys all through that clubhouse, individuals who have failed. Clint Hurdle unquestionably has failed. Where's the leadership that you wanted to see? All those happy, folksy messages that we were hearing in the first 3 months and change, those are all gone. Where are the strategic decisions? What about the bullpen usage? We're seeing a team and a manager collapse at the same time. But you know what? As I look at this team and I look at what's happened here, and let's remember here, by the way, this team is 74 and 72 and 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. So this entire narrative can change pretty dramatically here just in the next 3 days alone. Imagine if they sweep the Brewers. As I look at what's gone wrong with this team, I go higher. And I go to something that actually has nothing to do with what happened on the field of play this year. I'm looking at the draft. That's right, the draft. Whenever we're talking about money that the Pirates have blown, we tend to look at the free agents. This year, this past winter, Neil Huntington invested $15.75 million in, say it with me, Clint Barmes, Rod Barajas, Nate McLouth, Eric Bedard. The last two, of course, aren't even with the team anymore. Nate McLouth, of course, is heading toward glory with the Baltimore Orioles. Barmes and Barajas, of course, play every day no matter what they do. That's money wasted. That adds to a long list of money wasted. It's not even close to the biggest waste of money we've seen with this team, or the biggest reason, in my opinion, that this team has fallen apart the last 2 years. That's the draft. They have spent $52 million over the past 5 years. $52 million. That's half of what? Half of an Albert Pujols. And what they have to show for that, not just at the major league level. At the major league level, what they have to show for it is Pedro Alvarez, who's starting to come around. He's still no sure thing. But when somebody's hitting 30 home runs for you, you'll find a way to get his average up from 240 to, let's say, 260. He'll be fine. I think Garrett Cole and Jameson Taillon are going to be fine as pitching prospects. Where's everybody else? Where are the prospects? Where are the players? Last night I was communicating with Jim Callis. He's the editor of Baseball America. very much respected around the industry, independent observer of teams and their drafts. And he agreed with me that there's really no excuse for the Pirates to be this bereft of prospects and overall talent on their draft. What's happened, and the reason that nobody talks about it, is that their warts with the draft are hidden by the fact that these players that I just mentioned, Alvarez, Taillon, and Cole, all three of them were top 2 overall picks. You can't miss at that height. Tony Sanchez was a number 4 overall pick, and he's doing nothing. He's in AAA, didn't even deserve to be promoted this summer, hit .233 after he was promoted, has shown no power whatsoever the last 2 years. This is a player who's maybe not a bust yet, but he's 25 years old. Where are the second rounders? Where are those late round picks that the Pirates were glowing about, that they were sending out these 7-figure contracts to and showing all this commitment? It's one thing to show a financial commitment. It's another thing to actually have that money turn itself into something. So what ends up happening when you don't draft well? The Pirates, each of the past 2 seasons, and particularly this one, got to the trading deadline. Neil Huntington went out and made what I thought was a good move at the time, even before he started pitching well, for Wandy Rodriguez, and a couple of moves by getting Travis Snyder, Gabby Sanchez, sending out Casey McGee. Those really didn't do much of anything. They didn't fortify the lineup. They really didn't strengthen the bench. What he needed to do, and we've seen this now, and it's obviously easier in hindsight, he needed to get himself some legitimate bench pieces. A legitimate 6 and 7 type of starter, those 4A guys. You wouldn't have had to give up much to get them. But what you would have avoided in the process is getting to late August and now early September and counting on baby-faced rookies to go in at the first sign of people going down. Brock Holt has done well, for the most part, in taking Neil Walker's place. But your first bat off the bench for a pretty good amount of time there was Jeff Clement. That's crazy. That's not something that you do in a pennant race. You're not throwing in, right now, rookies out of the bullpen. Justin Wilson's coming into games and blowing them. I don't blame Justin Wilson for that. He shouldn't have been put in that situation. This team needed to fortify its lack of depth. That never happened. And if it was going to happen through the minors, it would have had to be with real, live, honest-to-God, decent prospects coming up. I don't see that in this pool. I don't see that in Chase Darno. I don't see it in Josh Harrison, who I know has been up for about a year. This talent pool, the lack of it, is the result of the draft. Latin America, Pirates have done fine. And for those of you who don't know, the draft in Major League Baseball consists of the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Everything else is open to international free agents from the time they're 16 years and older. They've done fine in that. If you look at their top 7 prospects in their system, 4 of them have come out of Latin America. No other team does something like that. You never see something like that. There's a fraction of the money that goes in, a fraction of the effort. It's about the draft. If you want to know what's wrong with the Pirates this season, it's about the draft, and you will have to trust me when I tell you that I am not the only one who feels that way, that there are people at the top of the Pirates food chain who are looking into this. Coming up next,